Am I loud enough?
Yep. So tonight, this is an Age of Empires game stream. Hopefully, the first of many game streams. Um, but since Age of Empires, I think was the pertinent one to start with because we've just got news that Age of Empires 4 is in the works, and definitive editions of Age 1 will be out in October. And then we've also got word that Age 2 and Age 3 will get their own definitive editions at some point. So Age of Empires is being rocketing back into the present. So, starting with the beginning, Age 1, 1997, 20 years ago, man. Feels like the ages ago. But yeah,
That makes me feel old.
I know. I cut my teeth on that. And it was a great game for today. Playing it again now is a bit hard. There's a lot of quality of life features that aren't there that I just really got used to in Age 2. But now, Snake, did you play any Age 1 or was that maybe before your time?
That was before my time. I started with Age of Empires 2.
Okay. Well, we'll get to Age 2, but I want to not. But Paul, you played Age 1, so I want to go on that a little bit. So when you first played it, what were your impressions of the game, Paul? Like, this is the best thing ever.
I remember I went over to my tutor's house, which was just across the road, and he had the game, and he showed me the intro, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest game ever. And then ended up playing the game, having a little bit of a go, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. It's awesome. I just remember like the fear once you figured out that priests converted things, that you as soon as you heard the
dreaded
lo lo lo.
Yeah.
Especially if you're being attacked on multiple fronts, or you're attacking on multiple fronts, and you're like, "Where is it? No!"
Yeah, you
Especially
don't know.
when all you had was hoplites.
Yeah,
if you just went, you didn't do mixed arms. That was a mistake.
Or if you just went with elephants, it'd be the same result. Unfortunately.
The elephants were awesome.
Yes, elephants are awesome.
Yeah, and it was good that they all had different, slight variations of the tech tree. It's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, that was good. The only criticism that I would have is there's no reason why the Macedonians should not have got the temple. It makes it sound like they were atheists, when of course in that time period there were no atheists, and the Macedonians, I'm guessing, would be, of course, Alexander the Great, who was a very devout man, believing himself to be the son of a god. So that never made sense to me, but most everything else it did. Did you ever play the campaigns, Paul, of Age 1?
In 1?
Yeah.
Yes. I enjoyed the Xenophon's March of the 10,000.
The Great Campaign. That was a good one, yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed that one just because it was a challenge. Because if you effed up, you could. It was really a headache if you ended up with only like 2 blokes. It was like
Well, you know what I really liked was did you play Rise of Rome? The expansion?
No. Oh no, hang on. I think I did. I think I did.
Rise of Rome
all I remember as the Romans is that they got cheaper buildings.
Yep. Their legions had, I think, better attack speed too.
Mm.
But I beat all the campaigns but 2 in Age of Empires. I did not beat the Babylonian campaign, and I got to the final mission of the Roman Pax Romana campaign, where you have to fight Attila. But I couldn't beat him because he built a wonder before I could get... Like, he started building a wonder when I was in the Castle Age, and I couldn't... I knew I couldn't get my economy up fast enough to get units to break down to the wonder. It really wasn't that fair. But one of my favorite missions was the Rise of Rome campaign, where you had to defeat Syracuse, and they had like those laser towers. They had remember that?
I don't think I played the Rise of Rome campaign. I remember the one where you're playing as Athens and you got to defend against the Spartans
Oh yeah.
by just building a navy.
Well, the one of the hardest campaigns were the Yamato. They were really hard.
Mm.
But so what was your favorite faction from Age 1, Paul?
I think I just enjoyed the fact that the Romans got cheaper buildings, and so it was just you could just build heaps of stuff everywhere.
So you like
So
the Romans were one of my favorite too. They were fun. I loved it how you had the logistics upgrade, which for every two barracks units counted for 1 pop.
yeah, that's all. It all those little tweaks per civ, I think kept the game enjoyable because it wasn't just everybody was generic.
No, what were your favorite units to use in the game?
If I'm going to be completely honest, I did enjoy typing in E equals MC squared trooper and then just running around with one of those laser guys just blowing shit up.
Oh man, oh man, I don't know. We might have to ban you from the Age of Empires club.
No, but that was just for shits and giggles. You got to have something that's way overpowered every now and then just to appreciate the
and then it gets converted.
balance of the game outside of that.
Well,
Sorry,
what's funny? One of the things
I said then it gets converted.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. One of the funny things is my younger brother, he used to like to do cheat codes too. He did the sports car with the rocket launcher, and he was fighting the Egyptians, and they just had a whole bunch of priests just convert his rocket car. It was hilarious. And so he had to build 2. He had to use the cheat code to get 2 more. Because I was laughing so hard. I was just like, I couldn't believe they converted your rocket car. Now, but
that's why I never bothered with those.
But back to real units. What was your favorite?
I liked hoplites.
Okay, yeah, they were Centurions were beasts. I mean, they could just stand up to it. I was a huge fan of the elephants. The elephant archer and the armored elephant. They were fun. I would say my from the Rise of Rome expansion, my 2 favorites are the Romans for their siege weapons and their cheap legions, and the Carthaginians for their elephants and their siege weapons. Like the Carthaginians had all the elephants and all the siege weapons, so they were pretty fun. From the original, probably the Yamato and the Yamato. There were a lot of others. I did like the Hittites, though. They had some good archers and good heavy catapults. But from apparently you like the Greeks then, right, Paul? Because you played the Greek campaign a lot.
Oh, I think that's a history bias that I had. I think if I wasn't as biased as I was towards the Greeks, I probably would have appreciated the other factions a bit more.
Oh, I also like the Phoenicians before Rise of Rome came out. They had the best elephants.
Yeah, I always liked Navy factions. I don't know why I had a thing for Navy factions because I didn't always play on Navy maps, but yeah, it was always cool when you had a Navy map. You just go to the Navy faction. It was good fun.
Yeah, well, but besides hoplites, did you like to use any other units in Age 1?
I think having I can't remember what the unit's called.
Where did you build it?
It's been that long since I've played the game.
Where did you build it from?
It was an archer unit of some description.
Horse archer?
I think. Yeah, I mean, I like having something that's mobile, that's quick, mobile, and can shoot stuff.
Well, basically, there was the archery range. When you got to the end of the upgrades, you had the composite bowman, the heavy horse archer, and the elephant archer. Those were your and the chariot archer. Those were the 3 archers. Do any of those ring a bell?
Yeah, I liked horse archers.
Oh, well, yeah. They were the catafalque and the horse archer. I used to just go all Mongolian and build all those guys and just raid around and be like badass Mongols.
Was
But,
that anything like the Menguai, I think it's called?
Mangodai? Oh no, they're more like the horse archers that you build are more like the horse archers you get in the archer range of Age 2.
Oh, okay.
The one thing that Age 1 did not do right, which I felt made archers overpowered, was there was very little pierce armor for units and very little upgrades for pierce armor. I felt like archers were too overpowered because even like simple bowmen could bring down, like legions because they didn't have a lot of pierce armor.
Right. Do you think they balanced that out better in 2?
Oh yeah, much better, much better. Pierce armor was much better balanced. You could also get upgrades from the blacksmith for it. I do kind of miss though some of the upgrades from the original Age. There was nobility, which gave like all your horses more hit points and cheaper cost.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice, but yeah. And then of course Rise of Rome came out. They added the fire ship, and it's funny. And they added the camel, and the camel and the fire ship were basic units for Age 2 when they came out. So they kept the idea. Now it's funny. In Age 1, you could not queue up units. That was added in Rise of Rome.
Oh, yeah, that would have. Oh, yeah, I remember that now.
With the Rise of Rome expansion, they added the unit queue, which was nice. And then the other thing is there's no waypoints. So I get so annoyed that I'm like, okay, waypoint to the wood. Oh, there's no waypoints. So my builders will just kind of like, my villagers just wait for an order. Also, when you like build a mill or a storage yard in Age of Empires 2, the villagers will harvest the nearest resource that they can drop it off to. Well, not in Age 1. And of course, there's the horrible pathfinding of Age 1.
Yeah, but I mean, we're still in the early era of the RPG at that point. Like,
oh no, it's a great game. I mean, just saying.
I think it was the greatest game of its era.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, Age of Empires. I mean, started a dynasty, and really, one of the things was the pop cap was so low. Like I think it was 50. And when I got to play Age 2, I was like, wow, like 100, 150, 200. I was kind of like overwhelmed. Because,
which is nothing compared to now, but with RTSs.
Did you do much multiplayer?
Well, Age 1, not so much because there wasn't, except with a few friends of mine, there wasn't a lot of, the internet connections weren't set up really to make it easy to do.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was doing LANs. I had a LAN group that I went to.
Yeah,
on
I
Saturday
was
nights,
too.
So I did a lot of that. So, yeah.
I did LANs with my brother and some friends, and I usually won those. I usually rushed to the Bronze Age and started spamming cavalry and/or chariots, and then that was just the end. They would be like, game over. But moving to, I think it was 99 was when Age of Empires 2 came out. Now, let's start with you, Snake. How did you find out about Age of Empires 2? What were your first impressions?
Well, I think I was a teenager at the time, and I had never played an RTS before. I forget exactly how I found out about it. Maybe I just saw it at the store and thought it looked interesting, but it was so strange to me. I still remember, my friends would come over and see me playing it, and they'd be like, "Why are all the characters so small? What's going on?" Like, they'd never seen anything like that. And oh boy, I love that game. I was never very good at it either, but I was just fascinated with it.
Well, I followed. The Age. Well, I've been playing Age 1 and then Rise of Rome for a while, and I was saying that. Sorry, I just got a message. I got distracted for a moment, but I was following the updates, and I remember when I saw the notification for Age 2 in the Middle Ages, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever!" And my brother was so excited. He was like, "Oh, this is the best thing ever!" And then when we actually played it, it's like it added so much to the Age 1 system. You had like waypoints. You had like
right.
You could set waypoints. The farm queue. The farm queue. I could not play without that. It's just so hard.
Yeah, I mean, for a kid trying to figure out like the first RTS, I was overwhelmed at first. I just kept finding new things like, oh, I didn't know you could upgrade that thing. You know, it was just a never-ending series of learning experiences.
Yeah. So Paul, what was your? How did you first find out about H2? What was your first response to it?
Oh, well, my gaming group basically decided that we'd alternate every fortnight between Brood. I think Brood War was out at that time. Between Brood War and AOE 2, because it was this new game and we enjoyed playing AOE 1, so figured it had to be good because it was new. Because that was when they still made a lot of improvements in new games. I love the fact that you could build castles, and then out of the castle you could build your unique unit.
Oh, that was huge. Yeah, that was awesome.
Because one of the guys that I used to play with was, well, he was an older boomer, and he his despite the fact that he was a scientist, his strategy and tactics were somewhat lacking. So his method of winning was essentially castle building. So he'd build a castle, move further forward, build another castle, move further forward, build another castle. And that was quite entertaining, because generally what would happen is he'd essentially set up the defense while everyone else built up forces, and then went and wiped out the computer.
Well, yeah. I would use the castle creep when I play in the campaigns, because the AI would cheat and just like spam hordes of units, and castle creep is the only way to win. But against people, that's not always the best way to go. I would say, yeah, the unique units in the castle were a huge innovation. I was just like, what is this? Everybody gets their own units now? Now, I have to admit, I was very disappointed to realize that only the Byzantines got the cataphract, because that was a unit that everybody could build in Age 1, and it was one of my favorite units. And I'm like, no! But then I realized the Paladin was essentially the substitute. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's not too bad.
Right. I mean, there were 13 different, I guess you'd call them civilizations, and the Vikings got 2 unique units. So, I mean, that is so many different strategies to get used to, not to mention that certain structures and units, like, well, at least upgrades anyway, would be specific to the civilization.
The Spanish got 2 unique units too. They got the missionary and the conquistador.
Oh, you know what? I never got the expansion to this game.
Oh my! Well, not only that, the Koreans got 2 units as well. But go ahead, Paul.
Oh, I when I was saying that I like units that are fast, mobile, and can shoot things. Essentially, I would run around with conquistadors and priests. Not priests, and missionaries.
Missionaries, yeah, I know, me too.
And it was just awesome, because it's like I have a unit there where I can, run up to things, shoot them. Oh, they're coming in close. I'm going to ride back. And if they did get hurt or injured, there were missionaries there to heal them. I basically let everybody else take all the bloody what the relics. How awesome was relic gold? Like, just that trickle of gold throughout the game.
Yeah, the relic. One time I played a game with my brother, and he beat me because he caught all the relics, and we hadn't played in a while, so I forgot about relics. He gathered up all the relics, and I ran out of gold, and he's still making like gold units, and I'm like, how the heck are you making gold units? And he's like, oh, I got all the relics, and most of the relics. There were some on my side of the map, I just never got them, and I'm like, dang it. And so I didn't make that mistake again, but yeah. The last time I really I did a couple of multiplayers. I haven't done it lately because on Steam, the last I played it, which was probably a couple of years ago, the multiplayer was kind of like wonky. There was a game that I played with a friend where we lost because literally our units would not attack. They would just like kamikaze into the enemy and not do anything. It was so dumb. And it lagged, and I was just like, you know what? Until this gets fixed, I'm not going to play anymore. But some really fun multiplayer experiences I had. One time I played with my brother and 2 other friends. And my brother and one friend was on one side, and another friend was on my side. And we played a Black Forest map, and I was the Teutons. and I built an army of monks and what else did I have? Or no, you know what? I wasn't the Teutons. I think I was actually playing the one of those the Forgotten expansion. I think I was actually playing the Slavs, and I had their unique unit was a mod expansion. Their unique unit was I think the a cavalry unit. It's either them or the Teutons, one of the two. They both have good monks, and I built an army of monks and heavy infantry, and I just like convert like their whole armies would just like disappear into like a whole chorus of Wololos. I mean, it was amazing. And
right, the
like,
Teutons had great monks. I think the Japanese had pretty good monks too.
Oh, they had really good monks.
They had all the upgrades, yeah.
The Aztecs probably have the best monks because for every research they get +5. For every monastery research they get +5 hit points.
And the good thing about AoE 2, the good thing about the monks as opposed to the priests in 1 was that if you had a group of them and you clicked to convert something, they didn't all convert. Like it only made one of them lose their conversion ability.
That was after you got a certain research. I forget what it was called, but yes, that was something that you could fix, which was
that was one of the nitty gritty, bloody micro-y things that I absolutely hated in 1 because No,
that was annoying. Yeah, that's why I didn't use priests really much at all in Age 1. In Age 2, well, that's a different matter altogether. But okay,
didn't you love the the redemption upgrade where you could convert siege units and buildings?
That was the best. I love the redemption upgrade.
You just castle or something.
Oh yeah. Okay, well let me ask you this. So Snake, you only played the original, but what were your favorite civilizations?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I got to go with the Persians for their war elephant, but there are a lot of fun ones, I must say. I like the Britons. I think I just chose that as the default one, and I got used to it a lot. But I'm trying to think what the most fun was. Maybe I would say either the Japanese or the Mongols, if I had to pick.
Okay, why those two? They're good choices, but
I enjoy their special units, and like we were saying, the Japanese have really great monks. The Mongols, if I remember, their infantry were pretty cool.
Okay. From what I remember, the Mongols had good cavalry and good siege weapons.
Oh, that's right. Yes, they're cavalry. Exactly.
But their siege weapons were faster, I think. It was a research that gave them extra speed.
I would say they were one of the better siege ones, up there with the Teutons, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, Paul, what were your favorite original civs?
Oh, man, I don't know, because as soon as I could play as Spain, I was like, no, I'm just playing as Spain. I don't need to play as anyone else.
Yeah, but the Conquerors came out a bit later, so you had to play some of them.
I know. But the bulk of my memories of playing AoE 2 were on multiplayer as Spain.
Ha! That's funny.
I did enjoy the Celts. Were they in the original or not?
Yeah, they were the original.
Yeah. I like having
the Woad Warrior. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Woad Warrior. I remember one time I had a friend tell me, "Oh yeah, 10 Woad Warriors will be 10 longbowmen." I'm like, I don't believe you. So I did one of those design a map where you had like 10 longbowmen versus 10 Woad Warriors, and believe it or not, the 10 Woad Warriors won. I'm like, what? Really?
Fast. That's what you want.
They were good against archers, I believe, right?
They were fast.
Oh, yes, right. They could sprint in.
The guys that are good against archers were the Housecarl from the Goths. They had all that. Yeah, my brother loves the Housecarls. Like he'll just spam tons of them into level town centers.
Right, and they had pretty good economic upgrades, if I remember. I'm trying to remember what they were called. They could upgrade the guilds and sappers and stuff like that.
I don't know. It's been a while, possibly.
Did you enjoy the campaigns?
Oh, I loved them. I beat in the first Age of the Age of Kings. I beat all but the Saracen campaign, and then in the Conquerors, I beat all of the campaigns: the Aztecs, the Spanish, the Huns, and then the individual missions.
Mm.
They were great, great fun. I would say in the original, my favorite campaign was probably the Teutons. Well, either that or Joan of Arc.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed both of those.
And in the hands down, the best campaign for the Conquerors was Attila the Hun, hands down. That was just the best, no doubt about it. But what were your favorite campaigns, Paul, in Age 2 and then Age 2 Conquerors?
No, I was agreeing. I enjoyed the Barbarossa campaign and the Joan of Arc campaign, but like I think I enjoyed the Barbarossa campaign just because I've been obsessed with everything German since I was like 3 years old. So,
well, basically, my loadout for the Teutons were monks, scorpions, Teutonic knights, and paladins. Scorpions were great for killing infantry. The paladins were just great for everything.
they were tanks,
yeah. The scorpions were good for just killing a lot of infantry easily and quickly, and then the monks would convert and heal things. It was, and then of course trebuchets for castles, but
the good old trebuchets.
trebuchets.
Yeah, that's what we always referred to them as. We knew they were called trebuchets, but it was much more fun to say trebuchets. I'm being trebucheted to death.
Sound like my brother.
What a friend of mine would yell out when his castles were getting attacked, because most of his castles were at the front line when we were doing multiplayer. He's like, "Oh, I'm being trebucheted."
Yeah, Age 2 was really kind of... Age of Empires really kind of came into its own with Age 2. It really hit its stride.
And petards were handy too.
Oh yeah. Once you got to the Conquerors, now, well, you've already told us your favorite Conqueror civ is the Spanish. Mine was actually the Koreans, because having like 12 range siege onagers was like insane. Like they could outrange castles and level them to the ground. I mean,
yeah.
And then
you had the Chinese also. Oh, sorry.
And then you had the war wagons and the turtle ship. Dude,
I was going to say the turtle ship. Yeah.
I mean, the war wagon was basically a war galley on land. It had like a ton of hit points. It was like a war galley, but it was on land. It was awesome.
Mm.
From the original civs, my two favorites were probably the Teutons and the Turks. I love the Janissaries. Before the Spanish, they were my go-to gunpowder civilization.
Oh yeah, Janissaries are always handy.
I felt like the Mongols not getting the Paladin was kind of stupid, because the Mongols are all for about like heavy cavalry and being mobile. I don't know why they didn't get that. Also the Byzantines, cataphracts were awesome. And the Britons. I like the longbow. So Britons, Byzantines, Teutons, and Turks. Those are my favorite.
Those were awesome.
Those are my favorite from the original. And then in the expansion, the Spanish and the Koreans. Oh, and the Huns. I played the Attila campaign enough to love them. No houses, come on. Seriously.
Was it also in 2 where you actually had control over formations?
Yes.
Was it the first time that you could have control over formations? I liked that. That was really handy. I loved having formations.
You mean they didn't in 1?
No.
Boy.
No, you didn't have control over formations.
Now, this is a slight digression, but Paul, did you ever play a game called Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds?
Yes, I did.
Best game ever!
Hey,
Age of Empires.
It's Star Wars in an Age of Empires engine. How awesome is this?
Wait, did you play the Clone Wars expansion?
No, I don't think I did.
So well, there was an expansion. Let me look that up. And if you'd have played H1, I suspected you probably played Galactic Battlegrounds. I picked it up today on GOG. Because, I lost my original copy years ago,
Yeah.
But seriously, it was like Age of Empires meets Star Wars. And it really worked well, too.
Yeah, it did. It did. I thought as soon as you got air units, it was a bit... I wasn't sold on having air units. I'll just put it that way.
It
Oh,
wasn't the
dude,
Age
I
of
love mirror
Empires
units, man.
spirit.
Well, the thing is though, the mobile SAM sites are pretty strong though. They can really wreck your day.
Mm.
I mean, I think if the player, well, no, well, could your air units outrange the air defense towers? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
So yeah, they could still be checked with proper defenses. But I'm trying to figure out there was an expansion. Okay, the original campaign you had the Naboo, the Gungans, the Galactic Empire, the Rebel Alliance, and then there was the Clone War campaigns, which gave you the Confederacy and the Republic campaign. So you probably just had the original. And the
so
original.
did this version not include the original trilogy then?
No. Galactic Battlegrounds included the initial release included 4, 5, and 6, and 1, and then 2 and 3
okay.
were
Cool.
added in the clone campaigns.
Okay, so you could be the Empire as well.
So yeah.
Oh, that's who I was all the time.
Nice.
I'm
the
massively
Empire was awesome.
That sounds fun.
I'm massively counted. It's like, no, I don't want to play the good guys. I want to play the bad guys.
Of course.
So basically, in the original release of Galactic Battlegrounds, you had the Empire, the Rebellion, Naboo, and the Trade Federation, and then in the Wookiees. The Wookiees were awesome. Remember the Wookiee Berserker, Paul?
Were they like Woad Warriors, basically?
Yeah, very fast and did a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And then you had in the expansion, the Clone War expansion, you had the Confederacy and the Republic. Hey, I want to see a definitive edition of that game, huh, Paul?
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I mean,
You know,
there's already
Good luck with the license.
version of AoE 2. So it'd be interesting to see what they actually do for the definitive edition of AoE 2. Like
well, yeah, they've announced it.
How that differs. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It'll be interesting to see what the differences are. Because they already have an HD
Do you hope that they keep it similar? Or do you want them to change it a little bit?
I think if you could improve some of the features.
I mean, there are some features you could probably improve.
Yeah.
Like what? What would you change?
Well, yeah, Paul, what would you change first?
Oh man, it's been donkey's years since I've played 2.
You'd put donkeys in the game? Is that what you're saying?
No, there already are. They're called
I'll tell you one thing I have.
Very well.
I'll tell you one thing that I have. In Galactic Battlegrounds, there was an awesome feature where you could build an animal husbandry building. So all like the sheep you captured could go in there and they give you food at constant intervals.
Yeah.
If you don't, harvest.
You don't kill them.
Whatever.
What you do is you garrison them in the building, and the more you garrison, the more food they give you.
All right.
And I'm like, why was that not in H2? That would have been awesome.
You think they'll do that for the definitive?
No.
Oh man.
I don't think so.
No,
So basically, right? You remember sheep? Wait, guys, you remember sheep? You'd find the sheep. Now in Galactic Battlegrounds, they were nerfs, but they're same thing. Now you could consume them for food, but the other thing you could do with those guys is you could put them in like this animal husbandry building, and they would generate food for you as long as they were garrisoned in there. And so basically, you didn't pay to kill them. Why would you? It'd be a waste. You should just put them in there to get food.
Did they have like wild buffalo or boar? I forget.
Yeah, they had wild animals you could hunt. They even had a rancor.
Could you keep the rancor in your little building? Maybe drop people in there.
No, you have to kill it.
Oh.
It'll attack you.
That'd be great if you could unleash that on the enemy.
Well, don't you remember how the Jedi were like monks that could fight and they could like capture holocrons?
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, Paul?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, what was your favorite faction from? Well, okay, you didn't play the Confederacy of the Republic, but what was your favorite faction? The Empire?
Yeah. Yeah, I always enjoyed playing. I like being the bad guys. It's just a change. It's like we're always the good guys. Yeah, it's more fun.
Well,
it's just
I did love the Empire. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Who doesn't, right? But I would say I also freaking loved the Wookiees. They were awesome. Like the Wookiees were insane.
Oh, it's hard not to like Wookiees.
And the Wookiee Berserker was just like that was sold on that one. So yeah. it was basically joint produced by Ensemble Studios, the developers of Age of Empires, and LucasArts.
Mm.
And I really can't believe this thing never got they didn't do more with it. It was a great game. Like, I mean, it got pretty good reviews from a lot of the gaming sites. Metacritic gives it, well, whoops. That's not what I wanted to go to. Metacritic, I think, gave it a 75 out of 100. That's not too bad. But yeah, it was like Star Wars meets Age of Empires. I mean, I was like, seriously, are you kidding me? And it was basically modeled off Age of Empires too.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, okay, the user score is 8.3, so that's a really good user score for Galactic Battlegrounds.
Mm. So am I the only one here that's played AoE 3?
I played it briefly, but not.
Snake, you didn't play it?
I didn't play which one?
AoE 3.
I didn't get a chance to, though. My friend had it, and I feel like I watched him play at his house. It looked cool. It had like the different. It was a different setting, right?
Yeah.
It went from like the Middle Ages to Napoleon.
Right. I think he didn't have the expansion, so he couldn't play as the different native tribes.
Mm.
Or the Japanese,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there were 2 expansions, but
Correct.
I did like the whole home city concept, because it was a colonial thing. So you'd get sent shipments from your home city, and like you could pick different cards as you leveled up. So that would mean that you got different shipments per age. I thought it was really ingenious mechanic, because it could mean that you could get a free army right when you needed it.
Yeah, like I said, I borrowed it from a friend, and years ago, and I played it a little bit. The main things that I remember that I did not like about it was I loved the campaigns of Age of Empires. I probably spent most of my time playing campaigns because they were just so fun. I didn't like the campaign for Age 3 because it wasn't really historical. It was more like, historical fiction. Not like that.
I agree. It was.
Well, I wasn't really a history buff, so I did enjoy. I guess that was a big kind of introduction for history as a kid, like playing the different things. William Wallace and Joan of Arc. I was like, who are these people? I've never heard of these ones. it gets kids interested in history, I think.
It'll help me.
Yeah.
Well, FYI, my love of history began with Age of Empires 1.
Oh,
Like my parents will tell you that everywhere I went as a kid, I had the Age of Empires 1 manual with me, and I'd read it in the car. I'd read it when we went to go out to eat. I mean, when we're waiting for food, I'm reading the manual about the history of the nations. And that was when I got my love of history, from playing a video game, Age of Empires.
You sound just like me as a kid. I used to have like a little, I don't know if it was a manual, but it was a little laminated piece of paper that folds up multiple times. And it had all the different civilizations and their advantages and their special units. And like every building and unit you could build in the game on a spreadsheet. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I think that must have came with the game, but...
Okay, hold on, guys. I'm going to do the video. I still have this. Look at this, man.
Yeah. Mine was just like that. Exactly.
And then if we go here, look at that. I have the original. This is probably 20 years old.
Oh, man. That's just like mine, only it's for Age of Empires 2 was my old one.
How cool is that? That was probably like 20 years old. I see.
I just like the fact that he still had it to hand. Or did you hunt for that before this?
No, I have it on hand.
Never leave the home without it.
Okay, guys, hold on. More awesome nostalgia. Okay.
Oh boy.
Here's the manual for Age of Empires.
Oh my gosh! Yes, I remember
Here's the
that.
manual for the Conquerors.
Yeah.
Still got them. Now hold on to your horses. Because I
Hang
still
on,
got...
you need to make sure that you're the picture that's on the screen. Yeah.
Say
Nice.
something.
There you go. Age of Empires 1. So for the... Yeah, I'll do it again for people that didn't see it. Here's Age 2 Conquerors. Here's Age 2 the original. These are the original copies that I got. And let's see, where is the Conquerors? I know I got it somewhere.
I'm just admiring his epic headset at the moment.
Yes, that
Let's
is
see.
quite
Where is it? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, this is Conquerors. This is a double-sided one. It's Conquerors and the Age of Empires 2. Also, Prima official strategy guide of H2.
Oh wow,
Of
that's
course.
dedication right there.
Oh no, wait. But here's the original H2.
Oh my gosh.
Inside moves. Inside moves.
And then, hold on. Age of Empires 1.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
So, like, yeah, I mean, if I don't win the hardcore award, I don't know who does.
Yeah, I wasn't that hardcore though. I do still have the disc to this day of Age of Empires 2, and I tried to install it on my computer and it worked, but the game didn't play for some reason. I think there's a scratch on it.
So, can you believe I still have all the original paperwork?
I will tell you, Todd convinced me that I should indulge myself in my nostalgia, and I had to get the Steam HD version.
Yeah, Paul, do you have that? Do you have a H2 HD on Steam?
No, I should probably get that.
It's
Dude,
about
you should-
$20.
When it's
You
on
should
sale, it's only $20. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's $20 US. I'm gonna work in Australian currency. Remember?
Oh yeah. Well, what I'm
So
thinking
that'll be
is,
like $30 probably.
I'm thinking we need to like get a bunch of bros together and just like play H2 head to head.
That'd be fun. I'll lose for sure, but I'll enjoy it.
But oh, sorry.
I'll lose because all my multiplayer experiences against AI because you know
me too.
I think we did
The easiest level.
no we did players on players, but it wasn't fun, at least for most people. Like I
Sure.
always enjoyed a head-to-head battle of minds, strategy and tactics, and but it just pissed everybody else off too much. So yeah, we just did co-op against the AI.
Oh, comp stomps are always fun. But back to AoE 3, the two things that I didn't like about it was, well, three things. I felt like that the campaign was kind of meh. The graphics were a little too cartoony for me, and I didn't like. It felt dumbed down. But maybe I need to rethink that. Maybe what were the things that you liked about H3? You mentioned the cards, the home cities. What were some other features that you liked?
The Explorer was an interesting element of the game. I'm not sure if I was 100% sold on that, but I enjoyed the fact that I actually had gunpowder units, and it was like Napoleonic era, because I really like that period of history. So you got all the cool ships of the line. I enjoyed that, and you could get upgrade cards to improve your navy. Like, we'll build an admiralty so that we can build more ships. I enjoyed playing as the Russians. There's something about playing as the Russians that was fun because you got a discount on units, and they built in bulk. So you would essentially get an insta army if you played as the Russians. It may not be the tankiest army, but it was a lot of fun to be like, oh, I'm being attacked, and now I have some people to kill things with. Instantly.
Wait, didn't the Germans get the war wagon in Age of Empires 3?
Yes, they did. That was an awesome unit. They also got, for every shipment they got from home, they ended up getting 2 cavalry units. What were they?
I don't know, but didn't the Germans also get a heavy swordsman called the Doppelsoldier?
Yeah, I think so.
Like I said, I never played it much, but maybe I should give it another try.
But I
is
can
the way to
understand
go,
why
in
you
my
may buy
opinion.
like it was a bit too cartoony. I can understand why you
2 is
why you
the
still-
classic.
2, well, yeah, Age of Empires 2 and Galactic Battlegrounds kind of like are perfection, really.
Yeah.
You can't improve on perfection. I think 2 is. They should have just given up. Like, we'll never make a better game than this.
Well, actually, you could do better than 2. Like, there's certain things, like for instance, you could do better graphics, maybe even better pathfinding.
Yeah, well, I mean, for the time anyway.
No, it's
But you
only
can
it's. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say that you could also rebel against your home settlement, which you'd do at the last minute in a game if you were losing badly, or if you were just wanted to have one big final push, because it would turn all your villages into military units.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah, wow, really? So was
yeah,
that a
so
victory condition?
not in single player, but sorry, not in a like a multiplayer. But it was handy because you got instead of getting shipments from home, you ended up getting shipments of either troops or like a Gatling gun. So you'd and the Gatling gun was really handy for taking out infantry. It was so good at taking out infantry. But it was pretty cool because if you had 2 factories, one set to food and one set to wood, and if you were the Dutch and you had banks, you had all 3 resources.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, it didn't matter if you were the Dutch because you'd still have a trickle of every resource. Because the Dutch had banks, and that was awesome because you just got money. It was just nice.
So basically, what you're doing now is you're trying to convince Snake and I to buy it. And
well, it's funny he brought up Gatling guns and the resources, because I was just thinking about the new game coming out. And what time period do you guys think that they're going to do? Do you think it's going to be post Age of Empires 3?
Well, yes, that is the question. I've heard 3 possibilities, just speculation. They're going to redo the ancient era. They're going to revisit that and add. That seems a bit unlikely, especially given that they've already going to come out this year with the Age of Empires Definitive Edition, which is going to be sort of a revamping of the original. I kind of doubt they do a whole extra game to do that all over again. Somebody thought they'd do all the ages together, going from like the Stone Age to Napoleon, but that was already done with Empire Earth and Rise of Nations, and Rise of Nations was was done by Ensemble Microsoft Studios, where some of the designers from Age of Empire. So I doubt they'll do that.
I mean, maybe it depends.
It's already been done. Rise of Nations and Empire Earth.
Flavor on it. Who knows?
Now the other, and I think logical outcome is going, say, from Napoleon to maybe World War II, where you do the modern age. Because basically, Age of Empires, each new game has gone into the future.
Essentially after World War II, that's the end of Empire.
Well,
as in, like, having vast overseas empires is really gone by the.
Once you get nuclear weapons, also the game mechanic is broken because.
Right.
Hey, we'll just nuke you now, guys. Game over. I'm like, well, that's not fun.
The nukes,
especially if you've got priests and you convert their nuclear silo.
I was thinking if they do, sort of World War I to World War II, that era, what they could do for the nukes is one of the resources could be, or let's say it's sort of like the relics. Remember in Age of Empires 2? Where you have to collect like uranium or something and bring them back to your town. And then you could start the Manhattan Project, and that would be a victory condition. I think that would be a cool mechanic.
I was thinking that instead of having walls, because in pretty much every edition of Age of Empires, walling off an area and like bottlenecking, choke pointing the opposition is always a winning tactic. But I think it would be interesting to see
trench warfare.
Yeah, exactly. I think that could be interesting.
Well, you know, I initially I thought having an Age of Empires in the modern age wouldn't work. And then I remember that little gem Galactic Battlegrounds, which takes place in the far, far future. So if Age of Empires could deal with Star Wars, then why not World War II? That'd be easy.
Yeah, it's an iconic war, and iconic empires and such were around. I think there's definitely a lot of potential there if they do decide to go that direction.
Now, if they do, like hypothetically, say go from Napoleon to World War II rather. I'm imagining a couple of campaigns. One campaign would be the building of the British Empire. Like you just go around, you know, fighting the Zulu or the, going all, you're playing as the British and you're doing missions. And the final mission, you go from like, Victorian age fighting the Zulu and the Indians, and then like you go to World War I, then you end the campaign with World War II, and that'd be like the British campaign. Maybe like the final mission would be like, one of the missions would be like a D-Day from like the British Canadian perspective. I don't know.
You don't think that they would do the U.S. as the primary campaign?
Well,
because
yeah,
that would also involve the, fighting Japan and the atomic bomb and everything.
Well, okay, actually, the U.S. would be a campaign. You'd have the campaign.
You'd have the Civil War.
Yeah, it would go from the Civil War.
That could be like the tutorial. You just have, U.S. units fighting each other or whatnot.
Well, yeah, I was thinking the U.S. campaign. Well, normally in Age of Empires, it's just one war. So we need to like limit it to one war. I think for the World War II, okay, the campaign that would cover. Well, that's odd though, yeah, because we're going to go through a lot of different time periods.
I think World War II is a big one for a campaign.
Well, the Germans obviously, and it'd be like an alternative history, like you get to take Moscow and London.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
See, yeah, the German campaign would be like an alternative history, and there'd be like an American campaign, like D-Day and like Okinawa and all that.
That's just the classic, the first one you have to do, and then you unlock other campaigns.
Well, there'd be like a French campaign, which would be like World War I. Where the French.
Surely that would just be a short campaign, the French campaign, because it would just involve putting up a white flag, surely.
But what do you guys think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to go with go back to the ancient era? I kind of doubt that, especially with AOE Definitive Edition. Or do you think they're going to do like all the ages rolled into one? Or do you think they're going to do like modern times?
I reckon they'll do late colonial. So I reckon they'll go more Victorian age.
Do you think they'll go to like World War I, World War II?
So I think they might go to World War I. I don't know about World War II. I think World War I is probably
that's a big event by itself, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably enough, and like you can have the early introduction of tanks as a late age.
Okay, so you think, Paul, they're going to move into the future, but they're going to say from like Napoleon to World War I.
Yeah, that's probably. Yeah, if I was a betting man, that's what I'd put money on.
I mean, because given that this October they're going to come out with Age of Empires Definitive Edition, I really don't think they're going to reinvent the ancient era. They're already doing it now.
Well, the only thing they could do for the ancient era is perhaps a different region of the world, like a thematic thing, maybe, like I don't know, Age of Empires Egypt or something. There might be like a theme like that.
Maybe, but Egypt is already
have Age of Mythology, so
that's true. Well, I'm thinking historical. I just think maybe they'll go to an exotic locale, and they'll focus on the.
I mean, maybe it's. I mean, I think it's slightly related because it was made by the creators of Age of Empires. Have any of you guys played Empire Earth? Sorry, Rise of Nations. Sorry, Rise of Nations was put together by.
I remember seeing that in the store and going, "Oh, yeah, I'd be interested in playing that," but I don't think it would because at the time my family just had Macs, and I don't think it was available for Mac at the time.
Yeah, well, for me, I did get the original. I still have it. My main complaint, see, they tried to meld 4X Civilization style game with Age of Empires. And for me, it just didn't quite feel right. I don't know, it just didn't work for me. And whenever I tried to play Conquer the World scenario, I don't know, the AI would cheat. They just like spam infinite amounts of units, and I'm just like, how do you break through their defenses? It was, I more preferred the straight up Age of Empires.
Mm-hmm. I think if they do either World War I or II, if you start introducing, different, basically flying units. Well, you did say that you played the Star Wars version where they had flying units. I'm just trying to think of the gameplay implications, how that would stack up with other things.
Well, but basically, okay, the way you think about it would be this, is if you didn't have any anti-air units, you're done. They'll just like kill you. There's nothing you can, but you have plenty of air options. Your barracks can build anti-air infantry. Your siege workshop can build anti-air units, and you can also build anti-aircraft towers. So it's not like you're totally at their mercy, but if you aren't paying attention and don't prepare properly, you'll get wrecked. But that's the same for anything, right? If you don't build spearmen and they charge you with knights, well, you're done for.
Right, and they would probably have to kind of phase out the melee units like men-at-arms and things like that. Wouldn't really be relevant.
Well, no, you'd still have you'd just make riflemen able to bayonet. I think that's like.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, in the
that's why I think that stopping at World War I is probably an adequate thing, because you can have early flying units if you wanted, and
right, but it would be an Age 4 upgrade or something.
Something like that down.
Yeah, it would be a late game upgrade. That would be cool.
Especially if you're just talking about like strafing planes, like if you're not bothering with bombers.
Right.
Unless you want a big F-off Zeppelin flying over slowly and then, just...
Well, I'm guessing the dynamic would be kind of the bomber as the main one, and then you can buy fighter planes to try to like pick them off before they get to your base, or something like that.
Mm.
Well, yeah, fighters or ground anti-air. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But I've already got my pre-order in for Age of Empires Definitive Edition. I think we should all get it and like play around together with it when it comes out. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that was coming out in October, didn't you say? Yeah,
but I got the pre-order and it's already technically downloaded, but I can't play it yet, which is like, I want to play it, but yeah, if you guys have seen the graphics, it looks incredible.
Yeah, I saw I believe I saw the trailer for it. It did look quite good.
Can you imagine?
I haven't seen the trailer.
Can you imagine when Age 2 gets the same treatment, Snake?
Yeah, I'd be happy on that day. Though I will miss the the classic graphics.
Well, all I can say is the
holds up surprisingly well, to be honest. But yeah, it's definitely
the definitive edition better still have the wololo.
that noise that strikes fear into the heart of.
Oh yeah. Like seriously, when you hear that, you're just like. By the way, the one thing that I hope the definitive edition does change is I hope you have a technology that you can research where only one priest has to restore his points.
Oh yeah, I would like
that. I mean, because they made it very clear that the definitive edition would be somewhat different than the original gameplay. But if you bought Age of Empires Definitive, you could toggle between gameplay. You could play straight up original graphics, original everything.
Oh, cool.
Or if you wanted to, you could play just the new way. And
sure.
I hope the new way does add that research where you can only have one priest lose his ability to convert. So you just keep on, you get like 10 priests and you'll never have to worry about recharging ever again.
From what I recall, I'm just thinking of back to my childhood playing this game. Did the different civilizations, like when you click on units, did they say different things basically, or am I remembering it
Yes.
wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember I would just spend all day. I was like this for some reason where I would care more about just basically playing around with the game rather than actually beating the main campaign. Where I would just try out a civilization and then click on the villagers and tell them to walk around and just listen to the noises they'd make, and I'd be like, "Whoa, that's so weird. What are they saying?"
But who remembers? Who remembers? You put him. That was like, I think it was the British villager might say that. But I remember, Paul, you got to remember Abedagus erectus. Like what even was that? Oh yeah. Do you remember how the villagers would say hummus? I'm like,
Yes.
well, you like hummus too? Good on you.
Hummus.
Hummus.
In three, the villagers actually spoke in their actual language, and they
Really?
actually speak about things. Yeah. So, like the Germans would say like stuff to do with arbeitet, and they'd get to work, and yeah.
That could be a way to introduce people to foreign languages.
Yeah, well, the only reason I picked that up was because I actually did German. So, like, I was actually listening to, because I played a lot of the Russians, I actually picked up a little bit of Russian.
So during your German class, you turned on Age of Empires and you're trying to listen to the,
and they're like, wait, are you playing a game? We're like, no, I'm not playing a game. I'm learning German.
I'm studying. What if the professor made you, that was one of the learning materials you had to buy it for the class.
Yeah, I was going to say the other advantage of having.
And we're playing tonight at 8, by the way. Get on.
I was going to say the last advantage that I can think of ending the AoE 4 at World War One is that you don't have to deal with aircraft carriers. You can still have the massive, big Air Force battleships doing the doing the bulk of the damage.
Oh, which game are you playing? H3, you said?
No. I'm saying
for the new one.
For the new one.
Oh.
Stopping at World War One would mean that you don't have to have the hassle or headache of dealing with aircraft carriers. I mean, they did have aircraft carriers in the First World War, but they weren't, exactly the cutting. Well, they were cutting edge, I suppose, but they weren't the.
They were developed by the British. Well, they were developed by the British at the very end of the war. I think in 1919, if the war had lasted that long, the Allies were planning on doing a strike on the German fleet with aircraft carriers. I think in 1919, it probably wouldn't have worked very well. They might have been downed by German aircraft from land bases, but...
What resources should there be in the new one? I don't think wood would be as relevant.
I'm thinking the resources I thought up, if it's modern, would be... food, steel, energy, and oil. Oil for fuel. Energy would be like, coal or oil for powering power plants, and then food and steel.
So like
I
think
coal, just because if that is the actual time period they're going to go to, like railways are big.
Sure.
Ships are powered by steam more than anything else. I think coal definitely has to be a resource.
Well, here's the reason why I think coal would be, maybe we want to abstract it.
For World War II, you mean?
Well, by the time you get to World War One, they're not using coal; they're using oil.
That's true.
Do you use multiple types of metal, or do you just make it a?
I think we just call it steel or metal and just abstract it.
Or do you just make it? Do you just make it like you have iron ore and then you have coal so that you can use?
I mean, look. Let's be honest. Even in Empire 2, you needed gold to make archers. I don't know why. It was just kind of to make it's a gameplay mechanic basically.
Yeah, but I enjoy having fluff reasons for things to happen.
Right. Well, with energy, Todd, you mentioned how it might be that. What you could do is, as you upgrade through the ages, as you get to the World War I era and beyond, you could, your building that looks like a a little coal building would upgrade into different things, and eventually it would be a power plant. Just like as an artistic thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been going on about an hour, guys. Is there anything you want to end with before we wrap this up?
Age of Empires is awesome, and I hope the new game is as good as it looks. Let me put it that way.
It's about time they made a new one. That's all I'll say.
All I can say is, Wololo.